Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Cars and Health Bars. On today's episode, we're going to be kind of jumping around with some topics, but I hope you guys will enjoy that. And I guess I want to jump into the top of the show by saying we will have a Cars and Coffee that we'll be attending tomorrow morning. And I guess that can kind of lead us into a topic I wanted to talk about because you will be driving you'll be riding your motorcycle, will you not?
I will.
Homie gets a motorcycle and immediately wrecks it. It's crazy.
Well, well, how do you define Rick?
I think you should tell the story on what happened because I'm sure our listeners are interested in how you could have already wrecked a motorcycle that you had just acquired.
Yeah, I hadn't actually even paid for it at that point. I paid for it
Oh no.
Monday, and this was on Saturday. So, I guess to start, I've been looking to buy a motorcycle. I've been saving up for it for a couple months, and I finally had the cash to get one. And, I've been looking on Marketplace. I'm like, man, I can't find nothing that I'm really, that's sticking out worth what they're asking, honestly. I'm just kind of still stacking money, not really trying to buy one. I was like, I might wait till spring. And then my coworker comes out and says, yeah, I'll take 30, I think it's 33 is what we agreed on for it. And so we go and look at the motorcycle, and it wouldn't run to begin with. It had been sitting for a couple months since he last rode it, and then before that it sat for probably a year. So we get it and it won't run. So we're like, alright, let's see if it'll run off brake clean. Runs off
Oh
brake
no.
clean. So we're like, it's probably gas related. So I don't remember how long it took. It took us a day and we couldn't figure it out. So we came back the next day, and actually the first night we emptied the gas tank and put fresh gas in it because it had been sitting a while. He's like, it's probably just bad gas. So come to find out, the gas we put in it had water in it.
Oh
So
no.
it never ran off that. So we emptied it again and got some good gas and run like a champ. So I kind of learned how to ride it in the parking lot by the dude's house that Friday afternoon, and had my coworker who's got a license, everything, drive it to the shop. So it gets to the shop Saturday morning. I give him the money. He goes and actually no, I did give him money Saturday, so I just paid him for it, and then I'm still riding it in the parking lot for a few hours, getting the feel of it. I'm like, I feel comfortable going on the road, so I go take it on the road behind Ford in these apartments. It's pretty much just a straight shot once you get back there. It's just straight forward and back. So I'm just going through the gears, figuring it out. And as I'm going down this straight section, there's an intersection up ahead, and it's a four-way. I have the right of way. I don't have to stop, but the people coming, perpendicular to me have to stop at the stop sign. Well, this guy in this Chrysler 300, dented all to shit, early model 300, decides he's going to act like he's going to stop. So I'm like, all right, he's stopping. I'll keep going. Oh, he starts poking out. Like, he got like halfway in the road. It's hard to describe. He just kept slowly braking and then going out in the road. And finally, I just started stopping, but it was done too late. So I miss him, but, I was still getting used to it. So I was all wobbly. And then, sure enough, I laid it down. It didn't really skid. I was really slow by the time it happened. And that's kind of the hardest thing to learn on a bike from my experience so far is the low speed maneuvering. Yeah, I just laid it down. It broke a peg and scratched one of the fairings, but it really didn't do that much damage. So I guess that's my story about it.
Yeah, of course. To say Jordan wrecked it is definitely a his overstatement, but it is funny to say that you damaged your bike before you even paid for it. It's kind of an insane
Yeah.
statement.
And to anyone wondering what it is, it's a '07 Yamaha R6. So it's a bit of a bigger bike, powerful bike for a first bike. But with me driving stick shift cars and kind of understanding clutch control already, I felt like that really wasn't an issue, and dealing with power wasn't an issue for me. It was more so just understanding the fundamentals of riding. And I've been riding it all week and haven't had no issues so far. It does have a issue where it will stall out just coasting down from higher RPM. I think it's the throttle position sensor.
Yeah, that's.
So
I know you messaged me one day and we're like, I know bikes are fast, and of course, I know our cars are not slow by means of daily traffic,
yeah,
but this bike's a little bit faster than I thought it was gonna be.
Have you looked into it? I don't even. I haven't even maxed it out yet. I've maybe got halfway through the RPMs.
Oh,
I maybe took
jeez.
it to 10 or 11, and it goes to 18. So
My
I
lord.
mean, it goes. I'm not sure I'm ready for that yet. Everyone says I am, but I'm not sure I am yet. I'm telling you, it pulls like you talk about some power to weight. I
Like,
mean, it's a supercar killer, pretty much. I mean, really, I mean, bikes are the closest thing we'll ever get to supercars.
power to weight is insane.
Yeah, I mean, you think a C6 has good power to weight, you ain't seen a bike. And this is only 600. I mean, there's 1000s, 1100s, 1200. You know, there's way bigger bikes out there too. Turbo bikes. I mean, there's factory pro charged Ninjas. So my car makes like 120 horse, and one of the Ninja, the H2, I think is like 205 or 210. So it's
God.
literally double what I got. I know a guy who's got one. It's fast.
That is insane. So,
Yeah,
I
it's fun. I wish you would get one. Honestly, you might like it.
I'm pretty dumb on on four wheels. I find myself abusing my car on the regular, uh,
Yeah, I don't
especially
think
not
that's the
being my
move with a
daily.
bike. If you got a bike, you'd be a Gixxer owner.
I don't know what that means.
That's like the equivalent of a SRT 8 owner.
Oh God.
It's someone who just rides crazy.
I mean, that's the way I am with my car. I just be hooning around, like not dangerously, but like I definitely be
Yeah, you know.
uh not yeah. Anyways, I don't want to incriminate myself.
Yeah,
Uh,
fair enough.
Speaking of that, I saw man, Zach Wyatt just be crazy sometimes. You know, he posted one thing one time that was like, I just experienced in real life what it's like to lose your wanted level thanks to a guy's driveway. I'm like, dog, you don't just be post that on like Facebook, dog. Like somebody gonna tell on you. And then
I didn't even see
he,
that.
I was like, dog. And then like he posted a few days ago. He's like, I'm not gonna have time to go to Test and Tune on Tuesdays. Anybody know some great roads to do some test strips on? I'm like, dog. I'm like, they
I mean,
gonna
there are some
find
good
you.
roads to do that. I ain't gonna
Yeah, but
lie, there are some good roads.
you don't ask that publicly where like anybody can see and just be like, all
Was
right,
he
you
doing it
gonna
on
be
Facebook or Snap?
yes on Facebook.
Oh, geez, yeah, that might be a little bit more of an issue, but hey, yeah,
Like,
each their own, I guess.
I guess. But yeah, it's just a little side thing. But I can kind of tell you guys what I've been up to in the car world that has irritated me beyond belief is trying to sell car parts on Facebook Marketplace. God, it has been terrible. And it's not even the people that like say is it still available, cuz I get that all the time. I think everybody gets that, you know, whether
Yeah,
you hit it on accident or not, I don't care. That don't bug me. But it's the people, man, that like this one particular guy, he
$200.
messages me. Oh yeah, I've got one of those stories too. But one guy, he messaged me at 10 a.m. is like, offers me like like what I was not really willing to take, but I'm like, you know what, today only, like you can come get it. And he's like, all right, bet. He's like, I'll come get it today. I was like, okay, well, I'm dropping my daughter off and then I'll be free. He's like, all right, let me know. I let him know. I'm like, hey dog, I'm free, and never messages me again. I'm like, buddy.
it
But
really be
yeah, the
like
other
that.
guy, my low baller, and he just messaged me again today. Like he's the only guy that I haven't responded to other than today. He's the first person to message me. I'm asking like 410 for a carburetor originally. I've done knocked it down since then, but he says 275. I really need it because I'm having to pay alimony right now and I don't have the full amount. I'm like, dog, that ain't my problem. I mean, I didn't say that. I just kind of left him on open because I'm like, dog, like don't even. And then he messages me today and is like, "You still got that carburetor?" And then I was like, flat out, I'm like, not for 275. I don't. I was like, I ain't going no lower than 3, dog. It didn't mess me back,
That's
not
fair
in there.
enough. I mean,
I mean, I done
you
knocked
got
$110 off this thing, dude. They're brand new, like they're $600, and this one's so new it don't even got paint wore off from where it's been bolted down.
dang,
So if you
really?
need, yeah,
No witness marks.
if you need a 750 carburetor, hit me up. I got you. But yeah, I've had a time trying to get rid of those. It's just the people that blue ball you is the worst. Like I'll come get it today. Done set up a time and a place, and they just like ghost you.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's been my experience the whole time too.
I do want to know something though, kind of to break off into another topic. So a big thing here recently has been people like I would say street driving and street racing, like these pickup trucks, and of course, you've got four wheel drive launches. And I want to
Yeah.
know what you think of people using four wheel drive as basically all wheel drive, which it is, of course, but it's a little bit different from your traditional all wheel
Mm,
drive. Is it not? Still T
I'm
case and
I'm
everything?
yeah, I mean, all these new trucks are still a transfer case. It's your typical four-wheel drive setup. Nah, you never use that full time. Only straight line, really, unless
Yeah,
you're
that's
off
what I
road.
thought.
Yeah, no.
See,
Well, I mean, working at Ford, I mean, I see this all the time. People have their car full of drive, and they're like, when I turn all the way to the right, it makes some, X noise, and whatever, like the stupidest complaint. Like, of course it's gonna. It's binding up the axles. It's not a CV axle on some of these vehicles, so of course it's binding up. I mean, it's not meant for pavement.
So I want to know more specifically what your thoughts are on people using four-wheel drive for launches, like as far as street or drag racing, like how terrible or not terrible that is on your transfer case and everything else that goes into your four-wheel drive components.
I mean, I'll be honest. I don't got much experience with newer or really any vehicle doing this. I've ridden a few, but like if you bought a new F-150 four-wheel drive RCSB truck and put a Whipple on it and try to four-wheel drive launch it, it'd probably take it. I don't know for sure, but as long as you had drive shafts in the thing, it'd probably take it. So, is it hard on your transfer case, transmission, diff? Yeah, of course. But I mean, I think if you're doing that, you either got baller money or you're retarded. Like if you're not, if you're not rich, like I don't know. It's kind of. I guess if you buy it for that, is what it is. But if it's your daily, I wouldn't be doing it all the time.
Dude, I seen Cletus. He was the one that kind of got me into this topic, and this was like a year ago or more. He was doing full drive launches in his Raptor R. It was either Raptor
Yeah.
R or TRX, but for whatever reason, he just starts doing donuts in the thing with it in full wheel drive. Absolutely destroys the transfer case. I'm like, why would you do that?
If it's built, it'll work. But if it's not, good luck with that.
Yeah.
We had a Raptor R in yesterday, and funny story. Not naming any names, but someone didn't patch the tire right, and they used a drill bit to drill a hole out for the
Of course.
plug.
Plug.
Well, they drilled the wrong spot, and it had a leak, and they drove it out. So when the customer got it, it had a flat tire, like brand new Raptor R. I was like,
Jeez.
oh my god.
My God.
So that was nice. All right.
Blows
Yeah,
my
that's
mind
awesome.
how asked wants to know, as someone who loves cars but isn't very knowledgeable about maintenance, what are the top three things I should regularly keep doing? I should regularly do to keep my car in good shape.
Are we talking not counting oil changes, brakes, and tires? Because I mean that's your
That's
big
the
three
given.
right there. Like everyone does that, right? So aside from that, I would say cleaning your car makes a pretty good difference. And then I would say number one that I see everyone ignores is oil leaks. And I'm even guilty of that. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, my car is
Yeah.
a mess. But
Rear main seal on
um,
LSs.
I mean, it's not just it's everything. But fix an oil leak, especially if it's something easy like a valve cover, because what if your oil's leaking down on a motor mount and then it deteriorates the mount? Like there's more money spent in the long run. So oil leaks number one, and then I would say transmission filter and fluid. Everyone skips that, and if you can just do that like once every 2 or 3 years, you're usually fine, and it's not expensive. And after that, man,
I
I
would
would just say
say,
cleaning your car. I mean, that's kind of underrated, but keeping up with the paint and exterior of your car is pretty important too if you want to keep it.
there's two things I wanted to just point out specifically, and Jordan kind of touched on it real quick. Is transmission. It's common knowledge to mechanics or people who have had bad times with this that if you happen to buy a car that's under 60,000 miles, between 60 and I wouldn't go over 80. I think the highest I'd go is 100. Is if you're going to change your transmission fluid, I would do it in that window, because
Yeah,
past that everything's settled, you're gonna grenade your transmission if you change oil beyond that. Definitely in a 6L80 or a 4L60, just from what I have heard from people. But another thing that I personally would tell you to keep an eye on, that I wouldn't say gets forgotten, but I would say it definitely gets forgotten by people who aren't necessarily car people, is your tire pressure. Of course, if you don't
Yeah.
have tire pressure sensors, that you would be surprised, especially if it's a daily, how much wear can accumulate just from it being off by like what 10 psi
Oh yeah. I mean, if you're low by 10 pounds, you're gonna be wearing on the outer edges of your tire all day, and
or high. Yeah.
not honestly, I would say rotating your tires is something I should have mentioned, because on certain cars I've noticed people will go without rotating and they'll bring it in like, I have a vibration. Well, when you don't rotate your tires on certain, it's mainly front wheel drive cars I see this on. Your rear tires will start cupping, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So there'll be sections where it's lower, and same thing can happen from a bad shock. But I've seen this happen, and you ain't doing nothing to fix that vibration, except hopefully you can wear that tire down without going through the whole tire. I mean, I've seen them pretty bad, and they're like, "Can you just balance it?" Like, nah, balancing ain't fixing that, buddy.
So tell me one thing, because I was forever under the impression that you didn't rotate all-wheel drive cars tires because it's all-wheel drive. There's equal power going to all four tires. But I was explaining that to my grandmother because they said that they needed to rotate her tires during her oil change. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me. So I was going to see what your insight was on that.
It depends. Some cars wear the tires pretty evenly, and some may not, depending on weight distribution. And
That's
a lot
what
of
the only thing I
factors,
can
really.
think of.
Yeah, it just really depends on the car at that point. Is it wearing the rear tires out a little faster? Yeah, probably rotate. But if it ain't, then it sounds like they're just trying to sell something.
See, that's where I was. I was like, if it's not a weight thing, then it just has to be them trying to cost some extra labor.
Yeah, I mean, just visually look at your tires. And if you have a tire gauge, which, I mean, you can pick one up for $5.
Yeah.
Just measure the tires yourself if you're really that worried about it. Which most people don't. They just would rather pay. But you can save yourself a lot of money doing shit like that yourself. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. Uh, I got a couple more here. These are kind of more crossover questions between gaming and cars, which I love to see. Uh, what's your favorite video game that features cars and more of a realistic terms of how driving is in real
Oh,
life?
okay.
That immediately eliminates Need for Speed, which is my favorite car game.
If it wasn't realistic, I would have said Need for Speed Most Wanted.
Absolutely.
But
I'd say Forza's pretty dang
yeah,
close.
Forza Motorsports is probably one of the that Assetto Corsa, Beam NG. Those are probably the top three. They especially Beam. It seems like it's got really realistic physics.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I've got one more, and then we'll switch over to the gaming topic because this is a pretty good question here. As a person who is interested in gaming and cars, how do you balance between working on cars and gaming? Do you find one hobby? Do you find one hobby tends to take over the other?
Well, do you count working on cars and driving cars separate? Because there are times when I'll be like, oh, I guess it depends on my mood. I always am down to like play arcade car games, but it seems more like in real life is where I have trouble doing certain things with cars after working all day. Like I don't really get in the mood for it. Like I'll have a friend be like, "Hey, you wanna help me out?" And I'm like, "Not really, but yeah, sure."
Yeah.
I'll help you out. So, I don't really have an issue with it in gaming, but in real life, I mean, even sometimes I just don't even want to go to car shows or nothing. I'm just like, nah, I'm trying to stay in.
Yeah. I think with I think this hobby that we have, it does go hand in hand, but it don't at the same time, because you know, if it's a Saturday or whatever, you can do car stuff while it's nice out during the daytime, and then during nighttime, it's you go in, play video games for however long. But at the same time, a lot of the more entertaining and fun car meets are at nighttime. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's a strain to balance those two hobbies, but I definitely agree with Jordan as far as like building cars. Like I don't work with cars like you do for a living, but there are some days where I'm like, man, I got to get this, I got to pull this engine out while I'm dirty. I just got off work, I'm already dirty, but I'm like, Dang, but I done worked all day though,
Yeah.
and
Now,
that
now imagine doing like engine work all day at work, like you're pulling engines or like I've been doing with this truck, pulling this harness out. You got to tear the whole front end of the truck down. It's like I
jeez,
don't even want to go in the morning and do that, but here I am doing it.
doing it for
but
yourself.
but balancing it out, I say mostly depends on the weather. With me, if it's rainy out, of course I'm going to be inside. So
Oh yeah, that makes it easy.
yeah, the weather definitely helps me decide sometimes.
Yeah. But let's go ahead and move into our gaming topic. I want to, and we referred to this back in the day, probably about a year ago. We did an episode where we compared Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 2042, but that was prior to Jordan getting some boots on ground in 2042. But now that you've got a few hours built up in 2042 and of course 4, I kind of want to get a refreshed opinion on how you feel on comparing the two, because I know I definitely
Yeah.
have my mind made up.
So just for reference, I got 164 hours on 2042, and
Okay.
I'll see what I got on 4 here too if it tells me on EA. I got 501 on Battlefield 4 on PC alone. So definitely I'm going to choose Battlefield 4 just for the fact that it and it's not just because it's an older game. That game ran smooth on my old PC. It just it's not real hardware intensive. It seems like it's ported really good for PC. And I don't know if Battlefield 2042 isn't, but I've been having these issues out of that game. I just can't figure it out. So, and other than that, I feel like Battlefield 4 just played better for me the more I think about it. And the vehicles I seem to enjoy on Battlefield 4 a little more. I will say certain controls on vehicles are better in 2042, but I even like the weapons better on Battlefield 4. I feel like there's more viable weapons, or like there's some pretty bad choices on 2042, and there are on 4 as well. But it seems like there's a lot more weapons I like to use on Battlefield 4. Because in 2042, it's like if it's a Battlefield 3 gun if it's not a 2042 weapon, it kind of sucks. So I kind of don't like that.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like as far as the weapons goes, I feel like there's so much more variety in Battlefield 4 than there is in
Yeah,
2042.
and it seems like the characters are kind of cringe too on 2042. The specialist or whatever you call them.
It does add a little bit more of a, like, I understand they're trying to give us more layers to the game, but it just feels kind of unnecessary if I'm being fully
Yeah.
honest.
Well, I mean, I think 2042 really is confusing on some things. There's no campaign, but it's like Russians are taking this oil or whatever. It's like, well, in Battlefield 4, it's the U.S. versus China, or so it's in the campaign too, so it's kind of more realistic, and it's real world places, like. So I like Battlefield 4. It's always gonna have a special place in my heart. Probably it's it's probably top 5 at least of FPS shooters. Because I kind of got to group a lot of the CODs together because they're real similar. So really, I'd say top 3.
Yeah, there's a lot of elements on 2042 I feel like they did not nail on. Like, the maps are still not the greatest. I mean, they're
Yeah,
fine, but compared to 4, I mean, Battlefield 2042 doesn't have a single map that will hold a candle to Battlefield 4, in my opinion. Not even Battlefield 4's worst map. It's just
Snipe
4's.
Zone.
I don't even mind Flood Zone because
No,
you
I
can
don't
run the
either.
bottoms and have a good
I
time.
love Flood Zone. I can get some kills on there,
It's just
whether it's Little
Battlefield.
Bird or Gunplay.
Man, and I just don't know what these first-person shooters are doing, because you look at COD 2, there's, they are unable to make a map that people like appeal to. The only maps that people enjoy are the maps that they brought back from old Call of Duty games. It's just like these developers now just cannot make a good map for a first-person shooter game.
Yeah, I don't. It's something with the newer games. I don't know if it's the way they do the texturing or whatever, but it doesn't feel as crisp to me either. I really
I,
mess with my settings a lot in games, and I just feel like the picture quality. I mean, don't get me wrong, the graphics look good. It's really high quality textures, but I run my games on low settings. So why does Battlefield 4 feel so much smoother at the same frame rate to me? Makes no sense. But I feel like I can just play better on that game. I don't know what it is, but it definitely 4 all the way for me.
yeah, I agree with that, and it's it's a shame that Battlefield 2042 was kind of built up to this hype to be like the second coming of Battlefield 4, and for it to kind of flop like it did. And I'm not even saying it flopped because it didn't like. I understand it had big boots to fill, and I'm not taking
Yeah,
that into consideration whenever I say Battlefield 2042 flopped, because I'm considering it its own game, and
yeah,
it doesn't. I don't feel any comparison to Battlefield 4 whenever I play that game. Like,
yeah.
it's kind of sad.
I'll say this about 2042. I would gladly play it over any COD, like current COD. You know.
Uh, yeah, I could kind of get on board with that. The modern CODs. I mean, I'll jump on Black
Yeah,
Ops
like
2 any day of
Modern
the week.
Warfare 2. I will
Yeah,
say the original 2019 does. I feel
it
like
was
that
okay.
game played pretty good.
Yeah, it was okay. And it might just be okay because the last like 3 COD games were absolute garbage, but you know, it's
What
just
were the
like
last three? We got Modern Warfare 3, Modern Warfare 2,
Vanguard, Cold
and then
War.
Vanguard. Yeah, I liked Cold War, but other than that,
Um, I want to get into well, we can just go ahead and transition into battle passes, and I kind of want to talk about. I don't know, because I hear a lot of people bashing battle passes, and I absolutely understand where you're coming from, but I also kind of want to defend it in a way, because you got to think it adds so much more content to the game, and not just that, it's that it gives you something to do. And I feel like that was the only reason that I kept going back to 2042, especially whenever you didn't have it yet. I had no reason to play it at all because I was just playing it by myself. But because of that battle pass, it gave me missions to do. So I wasn't only focused on progression and weapon unlocks, but I was also focused on doing those tasks. I mean, I found myself using weapons that I would never use just to advance in the battle pass. And mind you, I didn't even buy the premium version. I was just going through the free version. And it was just really enjoyable to have a task and complete that task, get the XP, and get whatever reward you got, whether it be an XP bonus, a skin. And I don't know. I have to defend the battle pass to some extent because of that reason.
see, I'm kind of on the other side from you on that. I don't like battle passes. I think they're kind of a way for developers to be lazy, and it seems like a lot of the games I play, the battle passes have just skins that no one's gonna run. Like I would rather have more unlockable content in the form of camo challenges, vehicle challenges, stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah.
It seems like on Rocket League, it's every rocket pass on that game I hate. I don't like a single one, and I've played it for 10 years almost. Like I don't like any of them.
Yeah, I agree with that standpoint. I'd rather have a skin that I unlocked, through grinding. My thing
Yeah,
with the battle pass though is it just gives you something to do.
and it seems like everything on Rocket League I do like, you can buy. You can't unlock with the battle pass. So it's always that way with games like Call of Duty. It's not a shitty skin, but you go to the store and there's an actual good looking skin. So yeah, I don't like battle passes for that.
There is one thing that and I heard that they're getting away from it too, which kind of puts a bad taste in my mouth. But I remember the original battle pass in COD, you had to buy it once. But if you
Yeah,
grinded enough and got to the end, you would have enough COD points to buy it again. So basically, it's a one and done as long as you put in that effort, which I love that
yeah,
about a
I do
battle
like
pass.
that.
But I've been hearing, maybe it was Fortnite or one of these games, they've made it to where you won't get enough to rebuy it. So you basically have to buy it each and every single time, and that disgusts me for the developers to
Yeah,
do that, because it just rewards the player. It's a win-win. The person is playing your game to the point to where they get enough hours in to complete the battle pass. It's a win-win. They get the stuff from the battle pass, you get their time invested. But if you're making them get to the end for nothing, then it's like a dang scam almost, man.
yeah, I agree. I mean, they're just not for me.
Yeah. I understand, but I do like some aspects of it, and I definitely agree. A progression camo to me, even if there is a better looking camo that you could earn through like a battle pass, or just even bought it, I'm gonna respect the dude who put in the grind and the camo and the time camo grind to get
Yeah,
like gold or diamond or whatever.
like
I
me
don't care if it
having
looks
Black
terrible.
Ops 2 Diamond. I'd rather run that over 115 or the Ghost skin. I like that one a lot, but I'd always run Diamond just because I
Respect,
earned
dude.
that shit, man.
I
I
mean,
put
Dark
in the
Matter.
hours. Yeah,
Dark Matter Black Ops 3, it looked horrible in the very first version of it.
it did.
I mean, is people still ran it though? Because I mean, you got dark matter, especially if you got dark matter that early on in the game's lifetime. That's a dang achievement right there. I almost wish they would have like let you keep that really boofed version of dark matter just for the extra flex of like, hey, I got it in
Oh
like the
yeah,
first month. That'd been like baller. You
yeah.
remember whenever? Huh?
I remember when the first person to unlock it got it on an account. It was literally these dudes had rotations. They'd wake up and just stream and play
Jesus.
and unlock camos. They'd go to bed and the next guy'd log on to the account or whatever.
So I could be wrong. I could have dreamt this, but at one point, didn't you have like a Call of Duty Ghost exclusive camo that someone offered to buy your account for?
No, it was on Infinite Warfare. Remember, they had that one camo that was selling for like over $100. It was really rare. You had to pre-order. I can't remember if it was when you got COD 4 remastered with it or what, but I remember
Yeah,
I've
I
had
like
people
vaguely
offer to
remember that.
buy a lot of stuff off my accounts on PC.
That's
But
crazy.
I had to start making my account private on all that because I got hacked once and I just ain't having that again.
Yeah, I
I
don't
had
blame you
my
on that.
Rocket League items stolen. They didn't even get what they intended to get because I know they were after my CSGO knife, but I just got it, so it was on a trade ban for 7 days. And
I'm
they found my Rocket League account had a bunch of hours. They was like, oh, he probably got shit on there. And they took everything, bro.
That is horrible.
It sucked. I had a lot of money invested in that account.
Oh yeah, I mean the CS knives are like alone. I mean Gavin said that he had one
I
that
had
went up
more
in
than that
crazy
in my
value.
Rocket League value. I had probably $500 worth of shit on Rocket League at that point.
Jeez.
Like I had everything I could want on that game. It was all I had everything from when it came out to there that you could have wanted, except for the alpha items that were worth thousands of dollars.
Yeah. Insane. I wanted to hit on one last thing, and this is something you could definitely go on a tangent about. Uh, I want to talk about you're a very big advocate for getting better at games, practicing and, especially with like Rocket League and competitive games, you play with our friends or you play with people that, and you always tell them, you'll enjoy this so much more if you're better at the game. And I want you to kind of explain with your perspective why it's important to try to be good at the game that you're playing, because I feel like a lot of people just play for fun and they don't realize that there's more to be enjoyed if they had a better skill level.
Yeah, it can go toxic though, is one thing with certain games, especially Rocket League. I don't think it's just a gaming thing. I think it's a life thing for me. I always try to improve in anything I do that I can. And I may not mean improve as fast as you can, but there's always something you can learn if you really want to. And I find joy in learning from my mistakes and doing better the next time. Or, I've always been like that. Like, if I can get one more kill in a game or one more goal in Rocket League, it's just more to me. So I've always enjoyed that about gaming. There's always more you can achieve. And I think that's just life too. There's always more you can you always got to set a goal for yourself and try to do better.
I feel like it's and like you said, it gets toxic. It gets really competitive whenever you're good at a game. And, I feel like people can say that they're not competitive, but I feel like it's just like in our nature, especially as gamers, to get like competitive. And like, you don't really realize how much fun it is until you're like I mean, you got to think
When
back
you and
into
your
like,
homie can just lock some shit down in Battlefield or something, it's fun.
or like back in the day whenever we played Black Ops 2, like search and destroy matches, and we're like just balling, like just dog walking people. Like that's the
I
best
didn't
feeling in the
lose
world.
search.
And
I
it's just
didn't
like
lose.
on top of that too, you could just like talk so much trash between rounds, and like whenever you can
Yeah,
back it up, it just feels 10 times better.
yeah. I loved it
Jordan,
whenever, I'd be getting trash talked. Like, they'd get me one round, and I'm like, oh, we're doing this now. I'd peel out the riot shield, 2 trophy systems, 2 claymores. You ain't killing me this time, buddy. I'm taking your whole team out.
it's and that kind of goes into the whole like being good and everything, because that's something that I can say that you're really smart about is you recognize whenever people do things incorrectly, because
And they
humans.
usually repeat it.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. They're creatures of habit, so it's like they die once to, something stupid, and you know that there's a very high chance that they're just going to go back and do it again. And that, of course, makes
Yeah,
them even more mad. I mean, you are the one that always told me the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and
yeah.
expecting different results.
And when I first realized people did that was Black Ops 2 Search. I would usually do spawn sniping, and people would always run the same way, even if I killed them. I'm like, you gotta be retarded to not try and like at least peek me from a different angle. Like, no, just keep doing it. I'll keep feeding.
It's just so it's funny to watch you play games because you've just always been better at like any game you play. You just seem to perform like just I don't know. It's like you're just on a different level of thinking whenever it comes to strategizing in video games.
Maybe in shooters I got a little bit of a head start because I've always played shooters since I picked up a controller. I mean, I literally played Call of Duty when it first came out when I was a kid. I've always been about Call of Duty until the newer ones.
And you kind of say that the whole toxic thing is kind of would be a killer for being good at a game, but I don't know because you can argue what we were doing in Search back in the day that was super toxic, but it was like a fun toxic because I mean
I
it's
don't
just
know.
like yeah, it makes you mad and it probably like I don't know. At some point, it's just like, yeah, it makes you mad, but it's fun. Like even if I'm getting mad, I'm just
See,
like, I
if I'm getting mad, it usually means there's a challenge, and I really want to beat. I remember Black Ops 3. There was one specialist. I think it was the robot guy with the scythe.
yeah,
I was trying to get him gold, and one of his challenges just kept pissing me off, man. I couldn't get it for a few days. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get this. And finally I got it, and let me tell you, that was one of the most rewarding things I remember.
yeah. I mean, it's only human to get frustrated whenever you come into a challenge. I mean, I would say the anger
Yeah.
kind of drives you to do better.
I don't know, sir. Like, I'll give an example of Rocket League. The last time I played it, I ain't played it since the start of this week, maybe, or I don't know. It's been a couple of days at least.
Yeah,
I played this tournament because I never do tournaments. I was like, I'm gonna do a tournament, 2v2. I get this guy who's way better than me. Like, I instantly recognize this guy's pretty good. So I'm kind of letting him ball out. I'm just being the support character because I know he's gonna score more than I will. So I'll let him get the scoring opportunities. I was having a lot of fun, and then this guy starts getting mad that I'm not playing as good as him. And that's what makes me mad about Rocket League is you don't gotta belittle someone for being worse than you when they probably haven't put in as many hours. Like, it's just natural I'm not gonna be as good as someone who's practiced more than me. So, being toxic to someone when they clearly haven't put in the work that you have, and you have expectations of them to be as good as you, if not better. I mean, that's just stupid.
yeah,
So when people are like that, I usually, if they say some shit in chat, I'll report them because I want them to get banned for that stupid shit, and then I'll usually mute them. I don't do that. I got off after that. I was like, this dude ruined this game for me for the week.
yeah, yeah.
I was having a good game, and then that last game, he just really started running that mouth. I was like, all right, buddy.
Couldn't take it.
Yeah, very last game. I mean, we probably would have won if he would have been more of a team player.
Yeah,
It is what
yeah.
it is. I mean, I still like the game, but I can't do it with random people as much. I find at that level.
Yeah, I mean, you get so high up, and I think what percent of players are you in? Like the top, like
I'm within the 1%.
yeah. I mean, you are
So-
literally up there with the streamers almost. I mean, it is.
I am. It's every other game. There's a TTV or something. I mean, I see RLCS analysts sometimes, and then I don't see pros, but I'll see like what is college players and all kinds of other
You're
like,
playing amongst
lower
the
tier
best of the
esports
best.
players.
Yeah,
It's not all the time, but there's a lot of people who are really bad somehow at my rank. Like, I just don't understand how they get to my rank, but I guess there's a mix of good and bad, so it balances out, I guess.
yeah. I get that.
I think team play is. I think a lot of people could do good just to be trying to support their teammate better in team games.
Yeah.
No one really
Yeah.
thinks about that. And maybe not Call of Duty, like a shooter game, but a game that relies more on teamwork like Rocket League. I mean, a lot of people are selfish on that game.
Yeah, instead of whenever, your teammate makes a mistake, instead of like bashing them, then you kind of be
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
my bad or whatever.
you know how many mistakes pros make in Rocket League every day? So how you expect your teammate to really? How you expect a guy who doesn't do it for a living to not do it?
I mean, it all comes back to we're all human, and like you said, even the best make mistakes.
Yeah, and if you're a good teammate, you won't just immediately talk shit. You'll be like, hey, can I offer you advice? That's the best way to go about it.
Definitely.
So
And see
once
that
you,
that's whenever the ball is in their court, because if they decide to, be like toxic about it, then that's on them. You did your
yeah,
part. And then at
yeah,
that point it's free reign. Bash that person all you want to if they're not wanting to take advice.
yeah, if they think they're perfect and they're entitled, then yeah, it's
Clearly they're
totally
the
their
problem.
fault. I'll be toxic if you're like that.
Yeah. I feel like that's a lot of people's problem, especially like even I don't play Rocket League, but I hear you play with our friends, and a lot of the time it's just like they just don't want to hear what you have to say because they think they're doing what's right, and it's like the opposite. You
I
clearly
don't
have
even
more
try to
experience in the
coach no
game.
one no more. I'm just like, you do what you want, buddy.
Yeah.
I'll play a few games, then when I get mad, I'll just get off. I'm
Yeah,
not gonna
fair
get
enough.
mad at it. I'm not gonna get mad at my friends on a dumb game.
Yeah. Well, I guess that can kind of wrap us up into the episode. Like I said in the beginning, guys, we'll be at Cars and Coffee. I'll have my daughter with me, so if you're going to be crazy or whatever, I definitely would point you in Jordan's direction. But if you want to say hi, get whatever, we'll be there. Corvette Museum, go
Nah,
check out.
Corvette track.
Oh, it's at the track.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. It's at the Corvette track, Cars and Coffee. If you want to come hang out, come hang out. It's going to be a good time. It's always really chill. If you're one of these shy people that don't have anybody in the car space, come on out. It's you're always going to meet some like-minded gearheads. There's
Oh
never
yeah.
anything like I've never had any negative experience going to a Cars and Coffee. It's always been really chill. I mean, I didn't even expect Jordan to come to this one. I was definitely expecting to go to it solo. I was just going to take my daughter, have a nice little daddy-daughter thing, and Jordan and like all the Ford homies, like we're all rolling out. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, the guy with
okay,
that C7Z's coming. Maybe the guy with the GT500 that comes to Ford, the new one. We got a few people that may be coming with us. I don't know if they're meeting us, to eat that morning,
yeah,
but
yeah,
we'll
very
definitely
cool.
have a little crew. I hope to see the big power guys show up. I don't get to see that too often.
Yeah,
Maybe one day
definitely.
I'll get to be one of them. I haven't even asked about my engine here lately. I've just been doing all these other things. I'm like, I don't even know if my engine's ready to be picked up or what.
That's kind of where I'm at with your aluminum block. I'm just like, I just need one more
I
paycheck,
I
and that.
checked it out today. It's still looking good. No rust. I've been lubing up the cylinder walls.
Oh, nice, nice, nice. All right, guys. Well, that about takes us out of our episode. Again, of course, Cars and Coffee. So you can go ahead and expect a Cars and Coffee episode next one as we pick who is the uh, best car there in our bracket style. And hopefully, we're kind of approaching the amount of cars to where we can do a best of the best bracket. So
Yeah, that would be dope. That's gonna be a hard one though.
that is going to be a hard one. All that and more coming up in the next couple weeks of Cars and Health Bars podcast. You're not going to miss it. Follow us on social medias, follow our podcast, and we will catch you guys in the next one.